Imagine being in a basketball match, everyone's cheering, and all eyes are glued to the star on the court, Caitlyn Clark. Amidst the excitement, there's a young boy, an orphan, who has an admiring stare on his face, looking at Caitlyn like she is a superhero. When the game ended, he followed Caitlyn, never walking more than an arm's length away. What could he be hoping for, and what did Caitlyn do next that shocked the world? Join us as we detail what happened between Caitlyn and this young orphan that will melt your heart. In the city of Atlanta, the Indiana Fever were set to face off against the Atlanta Dream at the State Farm Arena. A heartwarming story unfolded that would touch the hearts of many. Caitlyn Clark, the Indiana Fever all-star known for her incredible skills on the basketball court, was about to make a difference in a way she never expected. The game was intense, with both teams giving their all, but Caitlyn Clark, as always, was a standout player, leading her team with precision. Here's exactly how it happened. It was an ordinary game day for Caitlyn Clark. Fans filled the arena, and the atmosphere was electric. Caitlyn was used to the cheers, the chants, and the endless line of autographs after each game. She loved her fans, especially the young ones who saw her not just as a basketball player but as a hero. But after each round of the game, when going back into the locker room, she noticed a young boy standing alone near the back of the crowd. He had a small frame, with clothes that looked a bit too big and a shy look in his eyes. Something about him stood out, but Caitlyn had no idea that this was the start of a special connection. After the game ended, Caitlyn found herself drawn to him. She had just finished signing autographs when she spotted the boy again, lingering at the edge of the group. She walked over and greeted him with a warm smile. "Hey there, did you enjoy the game?" she asked, her voice full of genuine curiosity. His eyes lit up and he nodded, but he seemed too shy to say much more. Caitlyn noticed the awe in his gaze. It wasn't the usual look of excitement she saw in her fans. This was something different, almost as if he were seeing hope for the first time. The boy whispered, "You're really good, Mississippi. I've never seen someone play like that." Caitlyn felt a warmth in her heart as she took in his quiet admiration. She signed her game-worn Bruce Lee Nike Kobe 5s and handed them to the young fan. She found herself hoping she'd see him again. There was something about him that stuck with her. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she knew that their paths had crossed for a reason. Over the next few weeks, Caitlyn noticed the boy appearing at more and more games. He was always there, standing in that same spot, watching her with those wide, curious eyes. At first, she thought it was a coincidence, but then, game after game, he kept showing up. It was as if he'd found a piece of himself in the thrill of watching her play. Caitlyn's curiosity grew, and eventually, she decided to approach him again. She found him after a game once the crowd had thinned out. "You're back. You must really love basketball," she said with a friendly smile. The young fan looked down, a bit embarrassed, and nodded. "Yeah, I come whenever I can. I live in a group home, and they let me come if I finish my homework. I save up my allowance for tickets." His words hit Caitlyn hard. She realized that this wasn't just a kid coming to watch a game. This was a young boy searching for something. Maybe an escape, maybe a sense of belonging. Caitlyn felt a surge of emotion as she listened to the young fan talk about his life. She could tell he didn't have much, but his love for the game was evident. He reminded her of herself when she was young, dreaming big despite the odds. She knew she wanted to help him, to give him a spark of hope just as basketball had given her. So, she made a decision then and there to become a small part of his world. She reached into her bag and handed him a basketball, one that she'd signed just for him. "Here," she said, "now you have your own ball. Keep practicing and one day, you might just be out there on the court too." His face lit up, and for the first time, she saw a smile that was full of pure joy. He looked down at the basketball in his hands, almost as if he couldn't believe it was real. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Caitlyn smiled, feeling a wave of happiness wash over her. She didn't know it then, but this simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events that would change both of their lives forever. As the days turned into weeks, Caitlyn and the young fan's connection deepened. He continued to show up at her games, but now he had his own basketball, a reminder that he too was part of this world. Caitlyn began to look forward to seeing him, often bringing him small gifts or words of encouragement. She learned that he loved the game as much as she did, even though he'd never had the chance to play on an actual team. She found herself wanting to do more for him, to show him that his dreams were worth pursuing. Caitlyn's story with the young fan is one of those heartwarming moments that remind us of the power of kindness. Imagine a sports superstar, known for her intense gameplay, suddenly going viral not for an amazing score but for an act of generosity that changes a young boy's life. People everywhere are touched, and before long, this story spreads across social media, news channels, and even community forums, reaching hearts worldwide. On social media platforms, the response is immediate and overwhelming. Platforms like Twitter are flooded with posts under hashtags like #KindnessMatters. Fans and even people who don't follow sports are sharing their reactions. You'd see tweets saying things like, "Caitlyn Clark isn't just a basketball star, she's a hero." Comments pour in, admiring her selflessness and her role as a positive influence. Parents are posting about how they want their kids to have the same values Caitlyn has shown, while teachers discuss using her story as a teaching moment about the importance of kindness and mentorship. It's a reminder that social media can be a beautiful place, bringing people together over an inspiring story. News outlets catch wind of the story too. ESPN and SportsCenter likely dedicate segments to it, exploring how Caitlyn's interaction with the young fan goes beyond sports, highlighting the role of compassion in building community. Local news channels focus on the boy's story, showing him at a basketball camp or with the family that fosters him, enhancing how Caitlyn's simple act has had a broader impact on him and inspiring others to support kids like him. Major networks like CNN or the BBC might even cover it, making it a global story of hope and kindness. This story doesn't just stay on the mainstream networks either, it sparks discussions on forums across the internet. On basketball and sports forums, people discuss how Caitlyn is setting an example beyond her athletic achievements. In parenting and mentorship forums, people reflect on how this story can teach kindness and empathy. Parents talk about wanting their kids to grow up with the same values Caitlyn embodies, while teachers share ideas on incorporating this story into their lessons. It's the kind of story that inspires conversations about what truly matters and how we can make a difference in others' lives. Caitlyn's story might inspire charitable efforts. Imagine a surge in donations to foster youth programs, mentorship initiatives, and sports camps for underprivileged kids. People love being part of stories like this, where they can contribute directly to a young person's dreams. You might even see a GoFundMe set up for the boy, helping with his basketball training, schooling, or a college fund. Caitlyn's story could encourage others to volunteer as mentors or get involved with youth programs, sparking a ripple effect of kindness in communities everywhere. Even celebrities could join in. Athletes like LeBron James, who are passionate about youth empowerment, might tweet their support. Figures like Serena Williams might share Caitlyn's story on Instagram, talking about how true influence is measured by the lives we touch. Imagine if Ellen DeGeneres invited Caitlyn and the young fan to her show. Known for spotlighting acts of kindness, Ellen could give them a platform to share their story, perhaps surprising the boy with a scholarship or training equipment. It's the kind of story that would move audiences to tears, inspiring them to do good in their own ways. This story is a beautiful reminder of the impact we can have on others. Caitlyn's act of kindness may seem small on the surface, but for the young boy, it was life-changing. For everyone who hears it, it's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference. We don't need to be famous to inspire others. Often, the smallest gestures have the biggest impact. Caitlyn's story inspires thousands, if not millions, to reflect on the ways they can uplift the people around them. That's a legacy that will resonate far beyond any game or championship. Caitlyn Clark's journey from a promising high school athlete to a transformative figure in women's basketball is nothing short of extraordinary. Born on January 22, 2002, in Des Moines, Iowa, Clark's early years hinted at the greatness to come. She grew up in West Des Moines, where basketball quickly became her passion. Don't forget like share subscribe my channel Top Story News.